Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Underdog Podcast. Today, I am honored to have here with me Travis Plumb. How are you, my friend?
Hey, thank you. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited to chat with you.
It's been fun. Oh my God. I'm so excited to have you. First off, I'm in your space. That's number one. We're out here in Dallas, Texas, just enjoying the vibe and just having a great time here. But honestly, I met you and I was like, man, he's that dude. You had a upside down pineapple shirt on at the Build 22 event, and it was so freaking awesome. And I was like, I gotta know this guy. Your vibe, your energy, the everything. I was like, you guys are unbelievable. You and Levi. I saw you both, and I was like, I just gotta know them, and especially you because the pineapple shirt. I just couldn't.
Do we want to give him a rundown on the pineapple shirt?
Yeah, he's gonna give you that.
She was the one who knew this, not me. It was definitely not me. They say that having an upside down pineapple means that you're a swinger. So I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely not. So if you're watching, I'm not.
I was not privy to this information that came directly from you. You were the source here.
it was so funny because someone in the crowd had just came up to me and be like, hey, do you actually know what that means? That you have upside down pineapples on your t-shirt? I was like, I have upside down pineapples on my t-shirt. She's like, no, that means you're a swinger. I was like, well, I'm not. So get out of here.
You had some uninvited guests there, it sounds like. But man, I met you and I was like, your vibe, your energy, your everything. And you were telling me a little bit about your story and what you guys were up to here in the real estate game. And I was like, dang, first off, love his energy. Second off, they're making some big moves. And it's literally just scratching the surface.
I'm just trying to get on your level.
Man, no, we're all elevating here. But it was just amazing to me. And I was like, you know what, Travis, I really want to learn more about you and who you are and what you're about, where you came from and all the things, right? Because I'm sure that, you and Levi, pretty much Levi was on stage. So a lot of people got a little bit of a feel of what you guys have been up to within the last year. And I'm like, I want to learn your story. So I'm going to bring it back for you. And I'm going to ask you my favorite question to start, which is, what inspired you on your journey to where you are today?
I think I've just, as time has gone on, different things have inspired me, but definitely the most inspiring moment for me was the moment that I saw my daughter get rolled out, when she was born. I mean, from that moment on, things really changed for me. It used to be, whenever I got out of the military, it was just money. I was super, super money driven. Yeah. And I thought that was going to be the answer to everything. And, it just, I'll never forget, Sam was really sick in the hospital. She was in there for multiple days on IVs and she was having a bunch of problems with the pregnancy. And then we thought that she was getting better and they rolled us up to a whole nother room and another floor. We're like, okay, cool. We're good here. And then all of a sudden, 20 doctors came running into the room and they're like, we got to deliver this baby right now. So we had no idea this is going to happen so quickly. My daughter was born, 4 pounds, 10 ounces, super tiny. They rushed her into the ER. So I wasn't even able to be there for that entire process, but I'll never forget. I was outside. It was so fast. They rolled her out on this little cart and I'll just never forget seeing this tiny little peanut get rolled out. And I was like, I got to go harder. So that was one of the life-changing moments for me. And that really motivates me every single day. Now I have 2 kids. And so, I constantly stay motivated every time I see their little faces. I'm like, I can do more. I can do better.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. I mean, that you mentioned something that was really interesting, which is being driven by money for a long time. But before we get to that, I really want to bring it back. Let's peel it all the way back. Let's peel Travis all the way back. Before this, I was asking, I was like, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Plum or is it Plumb?
If you're really fancy and rich, it's Plum.
There you go, Plum.
I always tell
that's
people,
that's what you're gonna say now from now on. I'm Travis Plumb. They're gonna be like, who the hell is this guy?
Hopefully people will start calling me that. Then I'll be like, I made it. It was funny because in the car business, I was I would sit there and I would make calls all the time and they're like, how do you spell your last name? And I was like, well, it's Plumb, like a plumber without the ER. And then when people meet me, they're like, man, I was expecting some super fat plumber with his butt crack hanging out. I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that anymore. So now I just try to spell it out.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. I love that. So you mentioned you were in car sales. Mm-hmm. So now I want to ask you, what did you want to be when you grew up, as a kid?
I mean, I wanted to chase tornadoes. And then I was like, I don't want to die like that. So maybe that's not necessarily the right thing. And then, I think a really powerful moment for me in my life was 9/11. My father's a veteran, my grandfather's a veteran, come from a long line of veterans, and
Yeah.
when 9/11 happened, I really was like, I'm going to go to war. I want to fight for my country. I want to fight for this. You know what I'm saying? Because it like tore me up. I'll never forget the moment I was walking into my math class in ninth grade, when that happened. And I really wanted to go into the military. I really wanted to become a Navy SEAL. But that didn't work for me. I had really bad eyesight. Like I cannot see. I couldn't even read the big E, like on that that little sheet that they have you
Oh
read when
my
you go get your
God.
eyes tested. So I ended up, going into the Navy, got on the special teams, and did 2 combat tours in Iraq as a machine gunner. And that was about as close as I ever got to getting into the SEAL program. So not very close, but it was honorable and felt good.
Oh my goodness. God bless you and thank you for your service
You're
first and
welcome.
foremost.
Yeah.
But like, holy cow. So you just like took that as motivation. So you walked into your classroom in ninth grade and that was it.
I
You
was just
decided.
so like, I was like so enraged. I was like, you're not coming into my country. And,
Yeah.
I love being an American. I think we live in the greatest place in the entire world. And,
Amen.
whenever that happened, I was just like, I wanted to do my part, and
Yeah.
joining the military and fighting for our country, and did 5 years and then got out, got directly into sales.
That's amazing, Travis. Thanks so much for sharing
Yeah,
that.
you're
So
welcome.
you mentioned that you come from a line of veterans, which is even more amazing. So thank you to your family as well and your generation who's brought you into all of this. But who was like your biggest motivation growing up? Like the most inspiring person or people, if you will?
Like I would have to say that one of the most inspiring people was my dad. I was adopted, and I
Yeah.
always knew that I was adopted. And,
Yeah.
I kind of got into a little bit of trouble, when I was a teenager, from the time I was like 15, to like 17, 18 when I
Mhm.
graduated. But, I always really looked up to my dad. He was a super hard worker. I had no clue that I would ever have, been the most successful person in my entire family. Like
Wow.
that was never really the goal. My goal was to just, get an education, get to work, go to the military to pay for college, and just,
Yeah.
kind of just work really hard. My dad, he made, 6 figures, and until he, he fell, and, I told you earlier, he
Yeah.
fell, and he just had a freak accident where he fell while he was fishing, slipped, broke his neck, and,
Mm.
lost pretty much everything from there. But,
Yeah.
I really looked up to him, while I was a kid. I just wanted to be a good man, be a good father, one day. And,
Yeah.
that was who I mainly looked up to until I got older. And then I had, different goals and different dreams, and knew that different things were possible instead of
Right.
just working that regular 9 to 5. Because he
Right.
worked himself to death. I mean, that dude was like constantly traveling, constantly working. And so,
Yeah.
that wasn't for me,
Well, I mean that's what the society really teaches us, right? Is
Yeah,
to go through this. I don't want to say mindless, but it kind of
it kind of
is,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Like you want to know, like the biggest observation that I came up with when it came to COVID was how much people realized, like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Some
for
people
the first
realize it.
time.
Some people realized it quick, and some people still haven't realized. But I mean, I don't know how much you want to dive into my philosophies and theories on that stuff, but
You can go right ahead.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just like, I realized very, very, very quickly that it was just not, there's just no way. I mean,
No.
like, cause we follow all these different doctors on YouTube, and
Yeah.
like people that we know in our own, sphere of influence. And these
Yeah.
people are like serious, and like these masks don't even work. You know what I mean? And then you would see, people in Congress or whatever, they were doing their own thing all the time, never wearing a mask. It was just,
Yeah.
all for show. And I mean, I think I wore a mask for like 2 weeks, and, I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
So it was obviously like
Dallas.
way more chill here. But I wore a mask for a little while, because at first I was like, oh
Yeah,
shit,
what the hell is this?
like,
Yeah.
this is going down right now. And, then very, very quickly I was like, I don't know about all this stuff. But people are, they're brainwashed by the media. It's easy.
Yeah.
Education systems and all that stuff,
Well, it's a crazy thing because, like, for the very first time, people were shaken up for their routines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like how this comes into play is huge because for the first time, people were broken out of their, okay, we're working Monday through Friday. We drop off the kids, then we go to work, and then we go home, and then we have to fly and cook dinner, and then, help the kids, put them to bed, and then have maybe an hour for yourself, go to bed, and then restart over
Yeah.
and over and over and over again. And a lot of people have become mindless in that process, right?
Yeah.
Because unless you're aware of what you're doing, Like, unless you know where you're at, how do you know where you're going?
Yeah, you got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy.
So I think that's how the world got like shaken up by upside down, because people are home and they're like, what have I been doing this whole time? I know people who quit jobs because they're like, you know what? My time with my family is way more precious.
Oh, for sure.
Right. And
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I remember when it first happened, like my kids have been in private school since they were 2, so like we pulled them out of school, and a lot of the teachers, quit and all this other stuff because they didn't need the staff. So I actually hired one of my daughter's teachers to just come teach her at the house.
That's awesome.
And in the meantime, like I just remember going on walks with my kids all the time. I'm like super close to my 2 little girls, like very close. I spend a lot of time with them. Oh, for sure. If I could have 3 more girls, I'd be cool with that. I have a whole squad.
If your wife is listening,
yeah,
I hope you're listening. And this might just happen.
She knows. She knows. I tell her all the time. Like,
so
we should definitely have some more.
Go for it.
But
man.
I think COVID was a blessing, in disguise. Not for everybody. I think everyone got hit with it differently. But for me, I thought, it was like a good time to kind of just slow things down and really spend time with my family. I never believed any of the hype. For like I said, maybe a couple weeks, but other than that, I was like, I don't think this is if this is the most deadly virus like in the entire world. We're just supposed to go take a test, and then we're just gonna go quarantine for a few days, and everything's all good. Like, come on, I don't know.
Yeah, I've always been the rebel when it came to all this stuff. But the one thing that I saw the silver lining with it is like, man, so much change has happened from there. Like, I've seen so much involved in business. Like, it's like a whole evolution at this point in time, because our parents' age, right? Like, they knew, that's what they knew. They knew that 9 to 5. They knew this, like believing in the corporate structures and all this stuff. And here we are in a world where things are kind of collapsing when it comes to that. And it's like, now you have to build something for yourself, build your different streams of revenue for yourself, which is where you've navigated to in the real estate space, which is amazing. It's just really interesting to see how that programming has kind of like slipped in through the generations and even affected you at a young age. You're just kind of like, this is not my thing. But you knew at a young age that you're like, I don't know about all this, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just think, a lot of people just believe, what they're told. They don't, do the research. They don't look into things. And I think that's what you have to, in order to become successful, you have to first seek that information, right? And then once you get that information, you can do with it what you will. But if you're not out there looking for it, and like that's the thing is like when I was in the military, I kind of started realizing like I don't think I really like being, like my whole life I never liked being told what to do, for one. But like in the military, I was
entrepreneurial trait number one.
Number
one. Don't like to be told what to do.
No,
Same here.
And like, in the military, you're like, you have no control. And I had a senior chief. He was like, he was a super racist guy. Like he would just like did not like any white people. You know what I'm saying? Like it was really like kind of crazy. And like he would just treat people so poorly. And I was like, man, like I'm going to be stuck in this forever if I don't get out now in 5 years. And then, I got into the car business and kind of had a couple little mentors in the car business. And I was like, this is the hack. Hire coaches, hire mentors, read books, shortcut that, that long-term play, like what may take, someone 30, 40, 50 years to make that kind of money. I started learning, in my 20s that I could just read and hire mentors, and I could literally buy time. And that's what I started doing.
That's amazing. Well, because that's like a new thing now that I think people are starting to get plugged into. But how did you get exposed to it like that early on? Because like it's crazy.
I got lucky. My first mentor in the car business, his name was Fortunes O'Neill. I love that guy. We're still super cool. But I mean, he would always walk around and he would always just say, crazy things like, Travis, ain't nothing funny but a pocket full of money. Like in the car business, they're like ruthless over there. He's like, what you laughing at? Because ain't nothing funny but a pocket full of money. And like he would just say all these like things, and I really got close to him, and he would kind of teach me some game. And then what I saw was the owner would pull in mentors, like one of the guys that he pulled in, he would come and he would like pump up the whole team, and he would like coach us on mindset and mentality. And he's like, every time you're with a client, it's showtime. So whenever we would get out of that meeting and we would go into the showroom floor, he would scream at the top of his lungs, showtime. And he would just turn into like, cause like back in the back, he's like going hard on us. But then as soon as he came out, it was showtime. So he would just say showtime, and like all the clients would look at him, and he would just go out there and he would just start closing deals. So I'm like, okay, well, this guy, he obviously knows how to do something. And then, we hired Grant Cardone in the car business. So we started going through his training. And then I was the youngest finance manager that they had ever had in the car
Wow.
dealership in like 18 years.
Wow.
And so when I got moved into finance there, they sent us to go to meet this guy, Alan Ram, me and my buddy, Josh Van Cure, one of my best friends, godfather to my daughters.
Oh.
You know, we went and saw Alan Ram, and, you know, I was like, man, these people are like super smart. They make a lot of money. I can really use this information to, you know, excel. But, you know, when I started going to these mentors, I was like, I'm getting out of the car business. I'm going to go do my own thing one day. You know what I'm saying? Cause like I was working 7 days a week in the car business. And it was just, you know, you're working bell to bell. You're working from 8 o'clock. And when you're in finance, you're the last person to leave. So I was there until 11 o'clock, sometimes 11:30, just waiting on someone who may or may not even buy a car because they wanted to stroll in at 8:59, you know? So, you know, learned a lot, and, you know, slowly started getting into entrepreneurship, and, you know, here we are.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Travis. Well, I mean, it's fascinating how you were able to kind of model their success, right? And I think that's one of the things that really helps people, right? Like, find somebody that inspires you, watch what they do, and model them.
100%.
Why recreate the wheel?
I don't think that you should. I mean, in some, you know, form or fashion.
Way.
Yeah, in your own way. Everything, like, you're not going to copy something like word for word or do exactly. You're going to have your own spin on it naturally.
Right.
You know, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I got out of the car business and, you know, just started doing my own thing. But it was hard, you know. I mean, I just 4 years ago, you know, I lost everything. I lost my house, lost my boat, lost my truck. I mean, I lost everything. And that was just like, you know, a few short years ago. I was literally living in a house in Frisco, which is a really nice neighborhood in the Dallas, you know, Dallas Metroplex. And I ended up having to move into this 1,100 square foot apartment, and it was like horrible.
Whoa.
But I was willing to risk everything. You know what I'm saying? To like be my own boss. And I knew, like, I just knew I've always had faith. And I just knew that one day I would make it. So it was like one of those things. Like, I knew that it was a very, you know, high probability that something like that could happen. And right. I mean, I made it for a few years, you know, after the car business, just kind of living paycheck to paycheck, basically, with everything that I was selling. And then, you know, I had a bad business partner who was embezzling all the money from the company. I know I kind of told you about that a little bit.
Yeah, let's dive into that, because I know there's some people listening right now that may be in a partnership or affiliated with people that they shouldn't be, and kind of like warning signs to look out for in your experience, and how to really get out of that. Because you just mentioned you lost your house, car, boat, everything.
Yeah, lost
and
my
it's
mind.
like right,
for a short period of time.
For a short period of time, right? And so, like, bouncing back from that. So let's dig into that.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to business partners, I definitely believe that you cannot do everything by yourself, right? 100%. There's just no one who's just self-made, where it was just them without a team or anything like that helping them out. Yes. And like, you know, by the grace of God, I have a great business partner right now, and thank God for him. You know, I mean, working with him has definitely, you know, changed my life, because I finally had someone who could run with me and wasn't going to just steal from me all the time. Right. But like you said, those red flags, like, you know, I knew, like, even when I partnered with this guy, there were red flags. Like, my daughter wouldn't even want him to like say hi or like he was just like he was just, you know, a really creepy kind of guy. Right. Damn. And, but he was supposed to be really good at marketing. So basically, when I got out of the car business, you know, I worked with some of the top, you know, internet influencers, you know, and like I worked for a guy named Ryan Stuman, good buddy of mine. And he taught me how to build funnels and how to do marketing. And, you know, he was another mentor. So I learned how to do all these things. And I, you know, decided to stop working with him. And this was when I like really went out on my own. And so, you know, I started bringing in all these clients. You know, I'm good at sales, no problem for me. Started bringing on all these sales. And then I was so busy that I could no longer do the work by myself and service clients and make all the money. So I needed a partner. And so I actually met this guy at a mastermind that was $30,000 a year. So I didn't do any like vetting of my own to see like who this guy was. And, you know, I ended up partnering with him. We were only in business for about 4 months, but that was enough to get behind on my credit card, enough to get behind and have my first late payment. I had an 800 credit score, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so that hit. And then everything I cut it off with him very, very quickly. But, you know, I mean, that year for Christmas, I mean, I couldn't even put Christmas presents under the tree. So like, if you see those red flags, I really think that like you need to take a moment to pause before you get too deep, and really make sure that you're going down the right path with the right person. And that, you know, we never really, like me and Levi, our goals are the same. Like we're on the same page. We're very, very similar when it comes to core values and things that we believe. where me and this other gentleman, we were just not. But I was so desperate at the time because I needed that help, and I needed that help very, very quickly,
Right.
that I had made that partnership without really like taking the time to vet it, or just, slowing things down a little bit. But
Right.
it was also one of the biggest blessings in my entire life, because I learned what not to do.
Right.
So.
And those are sometimes the greatest lessons that have no really price point on them.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Like the value that you're going to get from that, like you almost view it like, okay, well, I took this L right here.
Yeah.
And now I just made it a huge W,
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna win.
Like,
We're winning now, so it's all good. But
well, it's a crazy thing, right? Because sometimes like you're so focused on the dream and you're so focused on your vision and all this stuff. And like there's things that happen in entrepreneurship. Like we're not an overnight success story.
No.
Like I was telling you earlier about my story.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, Forbes in time and all this stuff by 27, but like didn't see all this other stuff that happened.
Yeah, that's 25 years of hard work right there.
Yeah, right. And so like it was the same thing for you. And like, you were part of that mastermind, so you didn't think to vet that person,
Yeah.
but like you need to vet your partners like it's nobody's business. And then the number one thing is feel their energy. I always say this. I'm like, you do this with clients and you do this with partners. You do this with everybody you're around. Like the energy's got to vibe. The minute that you're in the room with this person, like you need to be able to feel them. And like, I'm going to swear right now because I think this is such an important phrase, but if it's not a fuck yes, then it's a fuck no.
Hey, I like that.
Like, there is no in between in business. It's like you either vibe with me or you don't.
Yeah.
That
I 100% agree.
Like, and I learned that phrase and I was like, that is the greatest. Like, it's so accurate because anytime I'm in between, like, oh, I don't know, then I know what that means.
Yep. 100%. I really like that you said that because it's so true. And like, I just knew that those red flags were there. And like, me and you have vibed the whole time. Like we both love Harry Potter. We both love pizza. Like, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just funny. Cause like, there's a really good energy there, even from the moment that I met you. And like other people, and like I've learned now since then, like I'm very friendly. I try to be nice and respectful to everybody, but it doesn't mean that you have to let them into your circle or let them into your business or anything like that. If if the vibe's off, the energy's off, there's red flags, I would just say run as fast as you possibly can and take your time to find the right person that you want to partner with and go down that journey with.
Yeah. And remember that phrase that I said too, like if you're in between, it just means that's a no.
100%. It should be a no-brainer. Like when I met Levi and we started talking about it, we were like, this is definitely going to work. We work dated for a little while, you know what I'm saying? Before we got work married. But we worked together really hard for a few months and we're like, man, let's just partner up. Let's tackle this. Let's take it together and, kind of take over Dallas in the real estate market. And, we've done all right there, I suppose.
And that was the kingpin move.
That was it.
Now, how did you pull yourself out of that situation? Because that's not an easy place to be, right? With a wife and 2 kids and like kind of like pulling out, because there could be someone listening right now that might be in the same situation that can't get their head out from underneath them. So what would be your advice and kind of what helped you get through that?
Well, it's, like I said, it's different for everyone. And for me, I had one daughter at the time. And we were in this really small apartment and it was just miserable. And I was like, there was like a really small period of time. Like for me, the reason I got off of Instagram and social media for a couple of years, I used to have a ton of followers on there and I just got off because I was too busy. Like at the beginning when this like really kind of first happened, I was like so busy back on Instagram and like I would see people that I knew, they were having more success or so it would appear that they were having more success. So I was kind of getting depressed. I was getting more and more and more depressed. And, I just started like having like these really bad thoughts. Like, is my family going to be better off with me or without me? And, I'll never forget like one day, the night before I was like having these really, really bad thoughts. Things just weren't really going well for me. And I was like, I couldn't do anything. And like, I'm a giver. I like buying Christmas presents for people, my family and friends. And like, all these things, bills were mounting up and like we were fighting over the money. We had to borrow money from her dad, at one point in time. And like everything was just so stressful. She had another kid on the way. And, one day I rolled over and I saw my daughter laying right there. And I was like, what the fuck are you thinking, Travis? Get your ass up right now. Get over this shit and get to work. Right. And that's what I did. And like for me, that was one of the most defining moments in my entire life because I still remember it to this day, just rolling over and she was sleeping in my bed, because we didn't have another room really for her to sleep in. So, she was just there just looking so cute. And I was like, it's just not me. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just having like all these like moments where I was like, man, this is just not who I am. I don't want to live like this. And then just to see her right there, I just was like, I can do this. I know I can do this, like get back up. So I restarted up another marketing agency and did pretty well there. You know what I mean? And, but for me, my motivation was like not internally, like I think a lot of things that are going on right now, like in the social media space, is you got to spend time on just you. And like, I think that's what people miss. I think people are missing a community and to do things not only for yourself, because like if things don't work out for yourself, what do you do then? You fall back, you have all these things. It's like, but if you do it for other people, I really think that's like the most powerful thing. I think that we as human beings need community and need love and need to be able to, look at other things to be like, hey, look, I need to do this for other people, and it's the same thing like you were saying earlier. It's like, you've made it to the top. You've done crazy, amazing things, but it's like, well, how can I give to the community, right? Like that's your number one goal. That's why you do this, is to be able to give to the community and inspire and give other people hope. And that was what it was for me. It was my daughter, and then it was Sam, and I knew I had another baby, and now we have a big team. We got Alex and everybody. It's a lot of pressure, but like to continue to make money, pay salaries, do all these other things. But it's easy for me now because I look at all these different people and their families, and it's like they're relying on me. You know what I mean? To help them, to motivate them. And so it's just always been like a combination of things to work towards. It was always been about other people. I think that helped me out the most, was not being selfish and just getting over myself and putting in the work and hard work. Like that's what it takes. Like there is no shortcut to success. If you believe that, I mean, you may be a trust fund baby or something along those lines, but for us average folks, it takes a lot of hard work and determination. And that's what, we are nonstop.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. But like I had chills like the whole time he was talking, like that was wild. Thank you so much for sharing that. But what I love about you in that day and your defining moment that you described, you made a decision that day.
Yep.
I'm just not going to be this person anymore. I'm going to choose differently. I'm going to get to work.
100%.
I'm going to work harder. Right. And you went out and you just made it happen. Right.
Yeah.
Because you realized, you became aware of where you were at.
Yep.
And you just said, no more. It's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
So let's roll.
Yep. 100%. And I just think that like for anyone watching, you always are listening, like you always have two choices to make. You can stay where you're at and complain about it. Yeah. Or you can do something different and level up, and it's never too late to do that. Just 4 years ago, I had nothing. And now, we're doing, multiple 7 figures a year, and we're selling real estate and all these other things. And that was, amazing. It goes by so quick, it just goes by so quick. And, we'll continue to grow, and hopefully we'll hit 8 figures next year. We're just trying to, grow and build and just do better, but it can just happen so fast. Like it's
amazing.
I was eating tuna packets. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. It was crazy.
Like the Biggie Small song, eating sardines for dinner.
Let's go. Exactly. And like that was just like,
that's
God,
crazy.
It was like just yesterday for me. And so
4 years is not that long. Like
it was not.
Dude.
It was 4 years this Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
The fact, like your elevation though, like it like blows my mind.
Yeah.
Absolutely blows my mind. And like I respect and admire that about you so much, because it takes a lot to get to that point. And now to like move forward and get to this level where you guys are impacting lives, you're helping people, like you're doing all this amazing stuff. Like I'm just mind boggled. Like for anyone who's listening, who's getting themselves out of a hole or is working on getting themselves out of a hole and to start something up again, what would be your best piece of advice to an entrepreneur who's maybe going through this right now, about to reset?
Look,
we're trying to reset.
Yeah, I think, my number one piece of advice is you can never give up.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong, like with going back to working 9 to 5, right? Like that is for some people, but like you have to look within yourself and decide. Cause I could have come back to the car business and I was making $250,000 a year. No problem. That's why I had a boat. That's why I had a truck. Cause I was making good money in the car business, but I wanted more freedom. I just wanted more, right? I just knew I see people with these nice cars and like, that was what it was at first. But now it's like, I can put my kids in the best school. I can live in a nice house. I can travel anytime I want. My kids get to go with me. And like all these things, involve money and having success, but making sure that you do that. So the number one thing is like, you got to take time for yourself to figure out, hey, is this the journey that you really want to be on?
Right.
You got to ask those questions. But if this is the journey that you really want to be on, then you have got to never give up, no matter how hard it is. Because like, I mean, it was very, very hard, but I never wanted to go back to the car business or do any other job. So my number one is just always just keep going, never give up, and look for help. Like you said earlier, right? Like, who are you aspiring to be like?
Alignment.
Right. Alignment. And then like, if it's Elon Musk or whatever, like, how did he ever get there? You know, if it's Bezos or whoever, like these really ultra successful people are, like, how did they get there? And you need to model your life and your style and hiring mentors along the way. Like when I had nothing, I joined $100,000 a year mastermind. I spent all of my money to join this one mastermind. Like when I had nothing. Right. And I had to make payments on that. You know, I didn't pay for that. I actually, you know, it's crazy. My mom, because my credit got messed up, I actually asked my mom if she would give me a $25,000 credit card. You know what I'm saying? It's 0%. And so she filled it out. I paid my first payment of $25,000 to her to go to this mastermind. I literally had no money in my bank. And I was like, Mom, God. I swear on everything, I will pay you back. And I did.
She's a G for that.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Mom.
Shout out to Mom. I love you, Mom and Dad. But so she gave me that, and I paid that down, and I went out there and I networked, and like, I just like put myself into where I knew that I would be. Like I may not have been one of my great mentors, Marshall Silver. He's like, you're already a millionaire, Travis. Your money just hasn't hit your bank account yet.
Amen.
You know, right? And so I went out there and I just had a great time. I networked with everybody, told them, you know, where I'd been and what I was planning to do. And from there, because I had started a new marketing agency at this point, I met all of my clients at this event.
It's amazing.
Some of them were paying me $7,500 a month, $10,000 a month to do all this marketing for them. So that money that I'd made, I was able to pay all that back through the clients that I invested in. You know what I'm saying? To do that when I didn't have any money whatsoever. And so if you're in a dark place right now, find help, you know, leverage mentors, people that you can really look up to, and just never quit, never give up.
I love that, Travis. And really just watching who you're around, right? Because if you hadn't, you invested in the mastermind, which put you around the right people.
And they were big players over there.
Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah. Like, that's amazing.
It was $100 million mastermind. So there was like 25 mentors, like everyone there had either made over $100 million a year, had over 100 million subscribers or views. So everyone there had to have like serious qualifications to be a coach. You know, like Jordan Belfort was one of them. You know what I mean? The Wolf of Wall Street, like Billie Jean. Like we were partying at Dan Bilzerian's mansion.
Oh my God.
That dude. And it was cool. He wasn't there, which is probably for the best. But you know,
I was gonna say, did he bring some friends?
No, because I would definitely be single today. I would get in so much trouble not even if I did anything, just being around that Sam would be like, get your ass home right now. So, but it was cool. Like Travis Scott, the rapper, was there. Like it was sick. We had this rap show like on top. We played poker, you know, so it was super cool.
Wild.
But you know, I just believe you got to always invest in yourself and never give up.
Oh my God. Whoa.
It was sick.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Now I'm going to ask you my favorite question. What would your older self tell your younger self based on what you know now?
Ooh, that's a great question. My older self, like the me now, telling 21-year-old Travis what to do.
Whatever age, Travis.
You know,
whatever comes to you.
You know, I just think it's a great question. I would really want to take time to think about that. Like, what would I tell myself at a younger age? I probably would tell myself now, knowing what I know now, just get into real estate right away. You know, like seriously, like so many people tried to get me into real estate for so long. And I guess I had a little fear factor. Like, you know, I would definitely tell myself probably seriously though, get into real estate and also like on a personal level, you know, I did some like psychedelics a couple of years back. Right. And it really changed my life, and it showed me that love was the answer to everything. And it truly, truly is, like opening up your heart, being more loving. And I think that's a really important piece that I didn't have when I was younger. Now, granted, like when I was in the military, they train you to kind of be like cold-hearted and like always have your guard up and never trust anyone. And that's kind of, you know, true to an extent. But I was so hard-headed in my 20s, you know, like I would just be like, hey man, like, here's the path. Like, hire these mentors. When you, instead of going and spending $3,000 at the club on a bottle, or more, which I would do in car, because I was single, I was making good money. I was like, let's go show out. I'll take my boys. Like, Vince is one of my best friends, long time. We would go out to the club and we would drop thousands of dollars. And instead of doing that, reinvest that money into yourself. Like that's the most important thing that anyone can possibly do, is set aside, like even while we're making all this money in the real estate game, we have a salary and I live off of that salary. Like I didn't need like to, spend $20,000 a month. I didn't really need to have all those things. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would have been much more well protected if I had just taken the money that I'd been making, no matter how big or small it is, to, you can go to events for $500 and pick up one nugget that could change your life, or $1,000.
Yes.
So I would say, go back and be like, hey, get your ass in real estate and hire these different mentors, and then chill. Like, don't go spend all that money and don't do certain things that I did in my 20s. Right. Like, I just think mentors are the hack. It's like biohacking, 100%. But for your mind and your business. Yeah, absolutely. And hiring these different mentors really takes things to the next level. Cause like, they're like, time is a very valuable asset, but I believe you can definitely buy time by, investing in learning information, for sure.
Absolutely.
But then you got to work hard.
Yeah, you got to, exactly. Then you got to grind out. You got to execute. That's the hardest part, right? A lot of people talk and they do all these things, and then it's all right. So where's the execution at the end of the day, right? For sure. And so in your world, like what's happening in the next like 6 to 12 months? What's happening in your world, Travis? What's going on?
We're still growing our team here in the local market for real estate. So for those of y'all who don't know, we have a team here in Dallas. We work, on the residential side. And we actually, our original claim to fame, because I just got into real estate about 1.5 years ago. Well, it'll be 2 years this December. And everything that we did was on YouTube. Like we were really looking for, a new strategy. We didn't want a cold call. We didn't want a door knocker, do all these different things. And, when I did my marketing, I focused a lot of that in the real estate space. So I knew what the conversions looked like on Facebook and Instagram and Google, and how much it cost and how much work. Like I would have, text message automations and email automations, and I have a full-blown call center calling these leads on Facebook, and like it works, but it converts like 1% to 3%. And so when we got into real estate, Levi actually launched the channel first, and I saw him. He had about 30 subscribers at the time, and I'm like, hey man, I like your flow. Like kind of like, what's up? I'm gonna do Fort Worth, because he was doing Dallas. So instead of doing 2 different channels, we ended up, long story short, partnering. But since then, our last deal, or the first deal that we ever closed, was last April. So maybe 15, 16 months ago, and we've sold over $130 million worth of real estate. My God. All from YouTube. Free, no ad spend, no knocking doors. It's all inbound. So, I'd say the goal over the next 6 to 12 months is, personally for me, to just step out of production, right? And just because we have so much business coming in, I can give that to my team. Yeah. I'll make a little bit less on the real estate side, but we also have, a YouTube course, and we have agents all over the world that are inside of our organization. So we make money through that way as well. And a couple other different things. We're building in Belize. We're working on building our first big Airbnb in Belize. Insane. And so I think over the next 6 to 12 months, really focusing in on stepping out of production, and then putting out more and more video content, building a bigger real estate portfolio, more Airbnbs. We were talking about tiny homes. I love that. Like just go buy some land and put a bunch of little tiny homes on there. So definitely going to dive into, the investing side a little bit more. And then the big goal is obviously agent attraction for us. How many people can we help? Like we want to help 10,000 agents start a YouTube channel and change their life. It changed my life forever. I went from, paycheck to paycheck for years to, I don't even have to worry about that anymore. All my bills are paid. We're eating good, and like, I want to be able to help other people, because we did that bootstrapped. We shot all of our first like 150, 200 videos on an iPhone. So like people are like, well, I don't have time to do YouTube, or I don't have any money to hire a videographer. Like now we have a full-time videographer, and it's not cheap. But at the beginning, we did everything on an iPhone. We just bootstrapped. We bought a little mic off of Amazon and stuck it in there, and bought a little selfie stick, and we just started walking around. We're doing living in Dallas. Exactly. That's exactly what Levi looks like. So that was how we did it. And it worked out really well, and it made us a lot of money in a short period of time. But now we're, trying other strategies. I'm working on I've been filming, for Reels and TikTok, trying other strategies, pay-per-click, getting back into Google pay-per-click, because now we have a team. We want to grow that team here locally, much bigger. So we need to make sure that we can, scale accordingly. So, working on agent attraction, getting into more investing and buying more properties, and just continue to help the team. And then the number one goal is, faith and family, work on being a better man, being a better family guy, spending more time with my kiddos, and just being a good role model for them and everyone around me.
Amazing. Travis, that's amazing. My God, I can't wait to see where you're at, like in 6 months, 12 months. Like, it's going to be insane. But like, you've got to let everyone know where to find you, where to contact you. Like, where can we find you? I know Living in Dallas, the YouTube channel for sure.
Yeah. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's just Travis Plumb, Plumb, like a plumber without the ER.
Plume.
And if you're fancy Travis and wealthy, Plume. So you can find me on Instagram. I haven't even started my TikTok yet, so I've been batching all that content. So I don't have a TikTok yet, but like I wanted to, batch record a bunch of content. So when I launch, I'm prepared to go out there and, do 2 or 3 a day. So just hit me up on Instagram if you want to follow me and watch the story.
The next TikTok star right here, Travis Plume.
Hey, maybe so. Maybe so. I was going to try to shoot for being the ripped realtor, but I got a long ways to go. So no, I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm not going to be able to do that one just yet. I was like, I could be the ripped realtor and like get out of these pools with my shirt off, and I like don't have that good of a body. So, we're going to work on it.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Man, Travis, it's been a true privilege and an honor to hear your story today. Thank you so much for being on the Underdog Podcast. Like, this was a blast, and you're amazing. And just can't wait to see the elevation, man.
Let's get it.
To the moon we go.
Let's go. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.